Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Great Malaba.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome back.
Good morning, sir.
Ekbele,
Thank you, sir.
as they say in Yoruba land. Now,
Efeni, one
Good
of these days
morning.
will ban you from speaking Yoruba. Look at the way you pronounce Ekbele.
good morning, Adesuwa, queen of the screen, yes. Now let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story, how Tinubu's zero commitment at London meeting forced Wike back to Atiku. Engagement between PDP presidential candidate Rivers Governor face saving. Obasanjo denies supporting any candidate plans to disclose own agenda soon. Shekarau joins main opposition party today. Yes, the meeting between Nyesom Wike, who has been parading as a beautiful bride. From this report, indeed, he didn't get much from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu when they met, and he sounded him out and put forward his request, including that he will support Tinubu, but Tinubu will not support APC candidates in Rivers, in Oyo, in Benue, and in Abia, where, of course, the supporters of Wike, governors who are supporting Wike within the PDP are holding forth. But, of course, Asiwaju, the strategists, told him, well, even though I can guarantee you Rivers, well, I think about Rivers, but other states, I cannot guarantee you anything. And, of course, with that kind of answer, Wike had to dash back to Atiku. I wouldn't say with his tails between his legs, but that's what this report is saying, that he had to go back to Atiku. But how long will Wike hold on? Because the options are closing in on him with dates, deadlines all around. What can he get? The earlier he hold on to something, I think the better for him. And of course, there are other stories. Of course, other newspapers also reporting this story. Vanguard, PDP crisis, Atiku at wit's end as Ayu, Wike dig in. Ayu may resist stepping down, PDP source. Atiku having sleepless nights over Wike's demands. Interest around ex-VP not disposed to request. Chairman not appointed but elected ally. Why Wike should support Obi, Sean Atiku, Tinubu, Rivers non-indigents being quoted there. Now, the Punch newspaper, PDP National Working Committee divided over Ayu. Chairman's fate uncertain. I have no problem being loyal to Wike, Makinde, Deputy National Chairman Arakpaja. Party in dilemma over successor if Ayu resign. Spokesman says National Working Committee not divided. Atiku, others receive Shekarau. Back to PDP, Obasanjo tout national agenda. Yes, and that is the lead story of the Guardian newspaper. Obasanjo meets Abdusalami, IBB to unveil 2023 agenda soon. Obasanjo, I have no national agenda, not special candidate. I have national agenda, not special candidate. Well, even if you have to push that national agenda through a certain candidate, because the reports are Obasanjo playing the nationalists is pushing and rooting for Peter Obi since the Southwest, the North have had their shot at the presidency. He thinks it's time for the Southeast to produce the next president of Nigeria. And if you say that is national interest, well, some of us will agree. But if you say you are not rooting for a particular candidate, well, that will not be exactly correct also. So we'll see how Obasanjo unfolds his national interest. And, of course, he's been talking to his colleagues in the military. some people like Ruben usually call the owners of Nigeria, well, they don't own Nigeria. But they've played key roles in the past, and as such, give them some sense of entitlement, which not everybody agree, because they did not utilize their times in office to the best of the interests of Nigeria. IBB will still remember truncated democracy when it was blooming at its fullest. MKO, our man, and how he annulled that election. June 12, 1993, reputed, acclaimed to be the best ever in Nigeria's history. Yes, the Nation newspaper also have that. Basanjo, I have no preferred candidate, but national interest. We have limited time. So I just look at the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London, half of Tory voters want energy to be nationalized. Households preparing to limit heat. Polls finds, of course, nearly half of conservative voters support renationalization of Britain's energy industry. According to a YouGov poll, 47% of Tory voters favor returning energy companies to public ownership, 28% oppose, of course, 25% not so sure. Returning to the pre-Thatcher days, is that possible in today's UK? Well, the next Prime Minister will be under pressure, whether it's Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss. Now, the Financial Times, yes, policymakers warn of challenges in tackling new era inflation. Of course, central bankers have the most challenging economic landscape for decades and will find it harder to root out high inflation in the coming years. Top officials and policymakers are warning. Now, the Guardian newspaper, the Guardian of London, revealed Black and Asian cancer patients wait longer for diagnosis. Yes, the world's largest primary healthcare, the NHS, the database analyzed by the University of Exeter, showing that if you are Black, if you are an Asian, and you have cancer, you will wait longer, far longer than if you are white in the UK. Ruben Rufai.
Well, I mean, interesting stories coming out of the UK. Liz Truss, the leading candidate in the Tory prime ministerial race, not given any full commitment yet in terms of the details of what she intends to do to address the cost of living crisis. But the big issue in the UK today, of course, is cost of living crisis, is cost of doing business crisis. And whoever emerges on September 5 will have no option but address those issues as a major priority right from day one. As the Chancellor pointed out, yes, there are plans in place to assist the next Prime Minister to announce a package for the people. But the people, what they are asking for is a COVID-style response to this crisis, particularly with regard to the energy crisis. And that's why probably some members of the Tory party, 47% of the voters are saying, look, the energy industry should be re-nationalized. What is also interesting, or what will be interesting later this week, will be the farewell message by the outgoing Prime Minister, Boris Johnson. Already there are indications in some of the reports that is talking about the zero carbon emission being something that his successor, should consider net zero carbon emission, and that his ambition to invest in a nuclear reactor per annum and also in wind power is something that he's hoping as part of his legacy that his successor would hold on to. So those, for me, are the two major things. As for the issues you dwelt on, about zero commitment at London meeting,
yes,
and all of that.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean, politicians always, as they say, try their luck. Of course, if indeed it is true that Asiwaju said, look, I can guarantee rivers for you if I win the election, the presidential election, which comes first on February 25. But to now say Oyo will be untouchable, Benue will be untouchable, Abia will be untouchable, that will be a long shot. But the bigger issue, of course, is within the People's Democratic Party, where the National Working Committee is divided right down the middle on the issue of whether concessions should be made to Governor Nyesom Wike or not. But Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the PDP, has said he should be given 2 weeks to reflect on this. But, you know, there are still difficulties ahead in that party, because those who are supporting Ayu are just as determined as those who are opposing him. And we hope that this will not affect the fortunes of the party.
I mean, time means a lot in politics, and I think the time of negotiation for Wike had waned his possibilities and whittled down his possibilities over and over again. He's going to get a hard stick in negotiating with the PDP now, because he's not going to be seen as not the beautiful bride any longer, because first going to negotiate with Bola Tinubu and people knowing based on what the sources have said.
Flirting
and after flirting and all the sources saying that, oh, he didn't get his way there, then the PDP will be hard line on him, and he might not gain as much he wanted to gain the other time. So I think it's also instructive in all of this to know that politicians is about their own selfish interests. But secondly, too, you know, like they say in Warri, Yanga, they get time. They get measure. If you go make Yanga, not make a Yaga. Because there's a way Yanga turns into Yaga. That's local parlance. It pretty much means if you are, you know, making a song and dance about everything, if you are acting like the beautiful bride and you're untouchable, also be careful, because your negotiating ace might just whittle down over time. But 24 hours is a long time in politics. I might be wrong about this, but if he has gone back to the PDP, it might be a hard one for him to negotiate. And for the UK, I see a lot of uncertainty. Liz Truss might likely emerge on the 5th of September, but this is a woman without a plan. The reason why she will just emerge is because she's white and Rishi Sunak is brown-skinned. That's the pure and simple reason. Because on all the policies, on all the solutions to the problem, Rishi Sunak has a better understanding of the problem and a better trajectory to solution rather than what these conservatives really want. I mean, I'm hearing things like a COVID-style response. I'm like saying, hello, are you kidding me? You want them to go and borrow another 300 billion that have increased their deficits that they borrowed during COVID? Liz Truss, you are saying, okay, you're going to pull down VAT, reduce VAT, you're going to get another deficit of over 30 billion. All this populist idea just because, they feel hard done by what Rishi Sunak did do to Boris Johnson, which is a white man, and UK is not ready for a brown prime minister. I think it's just sentiment. But when she finally gets in, and when they have tough times during the election against Keir Starmer, they will know that, you see, it's best you put in talent over sentiment. Because pure and simple, to a large extent, race has a major role to play. That's why they are blinded to all the solutions Rishi Sunak is providing. I'm not saying they are entirely all correct, but we need to go because of time.
We'll take a short break now. Thank you very much, Efeni.